Hi, I'm Barrister Esther, your travel legal voice insider at Travul.org. And I'm here to get you legally ready to travel safe, travel smart, and travel far. Let's begin with today's legal guide. We want to look at liabilities of airline passengers. In our previous videos, we've talked about the rights of airline passengers, the rights of airlines, and even the liabilities of airlines. So as much as airline passengers enjoy rights, they can also be liable for wrongdoings. Let's list these liabilities. The first is liability for refusing security checks. This is a requirement for every airline passenger. As long as you want to travel, you definitely have to submit yourself for security checks. Yourself as a person and even your luggages. Now, in any situation where you refuse to submit yourself for security checks, you would be liable to a fine of 500,000 naira only. Next is liability for hijacking. In any situation where you as a person willfully, intentionally, and unlawfully get on board of a particular aircraft with the intention to hijack, seize, through threat, force, coercion, intimidation, and you seize any aircraft or you exercise unlawful control of any aircraft, you have committed an offense of hijack. And you know what that means? You are liable to a fine of 10 million naira only, or life imprisonment, and you don't want that. Next is liability to forgery and counterfeiting. In any situation you want to travel and then you willfully, intentionally forge any document, you intentionally alter any document that is issuable by any authority or even the airline themselves, you are liable to a fine of 1 million naira only, and not more than 1 year imprisonment. It's either you are fined or you spend 1 year in prison or you enjoy both. Next is liability to interference with air navigation. In any situation, you're a passenger on board of any aircraft and you make an attempt or you interfere with operations of air navigation and meteorological facilities that endangers the safety of any aircraft, you have committed an offense and you're liable to 2 million naira only, or at least 2 years imprisonment, or both. Now let's move on to this next one. This is a very interesting one. Liability to interference with crew members. Yes, in any situation where you make any act intentionally and it hinders or prohibits the performance of any crew member's duty or duties. Now, crew members can be stewards, stewardesses, can be any crew member or members. If you are found guilty of interfering with the duties of any crew member, you have committed an offense and you're liable to a fine of 200,000 naira query, or at least 2 months in prison, or you enjoy both. Now let's move to this other one. He's also still talking about crew members. Liability to an act of assault and battery against crew members. In any situation, you're a passenger in any aircraft and you assault any crew member or crew members, or you threaten, or you just decide to act recklessly on any aircraft to any crew member or any member or passenger on board of that aircraft, you have committed an offense and you are liable to a fine of 200,000 naira, or you spend 2 months in prison, or both of them. Away from crew members, let's come to this. Liability to endangering the safety of the aircraft. Now, this is not even about the crew members. You're a passenger on board. There are other passengers like you on the aircraft, and you decide to act in a violent way towards any passenger on board of that aircraft. You have committed an offense, and as a matter of fact, you are liable to pay a fine of 200,000 naira, or 2 months imprisonment, or both. Now, these are stated in the Nigerian Civil Aviation Act. There's a particular part that says regulation. You can check sections 45, sections 85, subsections 1 and 3, section 83, to check some of these liabilities and for you to be guided. There is one more: the liability to operating mobile devices or any instrument against the instruction of a pilot in command. Now, let me explain this very well. Airlines, they generally have the right to limit you when it comes to the use of your mobile devices, or restrict you or even ban you from using it while you're on flight. Now, in any situation where you are being asked by a pilot in command to keep your phone, put it to airplane mode, or don't make use of it at all, and you decide to flout these instructions and rules, guess what? You are liable to a fine of 200,000 naira only, and or at least 2 months imprisonment, or both. Now, the reason a pilot in command would advise or instruct passengers on board when it comes to the use of mobile devices is so that it doesn't interfere with air navigation, radio frequency in the air, and it's for the benefit of you as a passenger and every other passengers on board. Please note, I know no deal. Remember, ignorance of the law excuses no one. For more updates, follow at Travelism. I am Barrister Esther.